Hello, in this lecture we will see the hardware interrupts of 8086 processor, INTR and NMI, which was supposed to be covered up in earlier lecture. This has been to be continued now. Then after hardware interrupt, min max bar pin, which is used for the mode selection of 8086 processor. Then the dual functionality pins, and then finally DMA concept. The details of the DMA operation will be continued in the next lecture. So let us start here about the hardware interrupts of 8086 processor, INTR and NMI in a comparative manner. Here that INTR is known as the interrupt request, whereas NMI it is a non-maskable interrupt. Then second difference here, this INTR is a level triggered interrupt, whereas NMI is edge triggered. Now the concept of triggering is very simple. What type of signal should be present on that interrupt pin so that processor will get interrupted? Now interrupting the activity of the processor is normally undesirable because processor is performing data processing and processor is getting interrupted due to that corresponding interrupt. Because of occurrence of that interrupt, it is normally undesirable. But whenever certain device connected through that INTR or NMI pin that needs some urgent servicing, in that case interrupt signal can be raised towards processor, and the characteristic of that interrupt signal raised, that is nothing but the triggering method. A device connected to INTR should be level triggered. It means that plus 5 volt level should be given by that device on INTR pin so that processor will recognize that as a valid INTR interrupt. It is a level triggered interrupt. Whereas in case of NMI, non-maskable interrupt, the device which is connected to NMI should give a positive going edge on that NMI pin so that processor will get interrupted. In case if the device connected to NMI, if it gives a plus 5 volt level instead of positive going edge, processor will not recognize that as a valid interrupt here and processor will not be interrupted. It means that proper type of triggering input should be given on that hardware interrupt pin by that corresponding device connected so that processor will get interrupted and so that urgent servicing can be done from the processor side. Then next is about priority. This INTR is having a lower priority than NMI. Of course, NMI will be having higher priority. It is always a comparative one. Now when that priority comes into picture, whenever both the interrupts are simultaneously raised by two different devices, then processor will respond to that device which is connected to NMI pin. Why? Because NMI is of higher priority. So only in case of simultaneous interrupt request that priority will come into picture and device connected to higher priority interrupt NMI will get service first, and then the second device after its completion, the device which is connected to INTR. Then next will be INTR is a non-vectored interrupt, whereas NMI is a vectored type 2 type of interrupt. Type 2 interrupt. It means that whenever interrupt is received on NMI pin, 8086 processor is sure to which memory address it has to go to execute that interrupt service routine of NMI. That's why it is called as a vectored interrupt. The address where that NMI service routine is present in memory is known to the processor. That's why it is called as a vectored interrupt. Whereas in case of INTR, it is a non-vectored because the service routine of INTR, though it is present in memory, but its vector location is not defined by Intel. Rather, that vector location is a programmable by the user. So vector location is no doubt defined, but it is defined and decided by user or the programmer in case of INTR, whereas in case of NMI, it is predefined by Intel and it is a type 2 vectored interrupt. Next is INTR. As it is stated, it is a maskable interrupt and it is possible masking of that INTR by using clear interrupt instruction. CLI stands for clear interrupt. When that instruction executed, INTR, general purpose interrupt request line, will be masked, will be cleared, will be disabled. Whereas non-maskable interrupt, it is a non-maskable in nature. There is no instruction or no method to mask that particular interrupt here. The concept of masking is very simple. Temporary disabling that corresponding interrupt line is masking. Next, where that INTR used? INTR is used to expand interrupt handling capability of the microprocessor using Programmable Interrupt Controller PIC 8259 devices. Whereas non-maskable interrupt NMI, it is used to handle catastrophic events like power failure. Now it is very interesting to know one practical use of that NMI pin here in 8086 processor based design. In case of 8086 microprocessor based design, that NMI can be used to handle a power failure situation. At the time of power failure, the voltage from VCC to 0, this transition cannot be abrupt because inside power supply there are some filter capacitors which are in microfarads, hundreds of microfarads, so that whenever power fails here, that voltage does not suddenly drop down to 0. Here it takes few milliseconds. But this power failure edge will be sensed by some sensor circuitry, and once that power failure edge is sensed, immediately non-maskable interrupt will be triggered. And when that non-maskable interrupt is triggered here, still my voltage has not been dropped to 0 volt here because of that power supply capacitor as I stated just now. But NMI interrupt has been raised towards processor. So subsequently processor goes to NMI service routine, which is a type 2 vectored interrupt. So it goes to service routine. And within that service routine here, there is a simple program which will copy the contents of normal RAM, random access memory, to battery backed RAM. There are two types of RAMs which are normally present inside system. One set of RAM, it is a normal RAM, working RAM. And another set is a battery backed RAM. The contents which are in that working RAM will be quickly transferred into battery backed RAM at the time once that power failure is sensed by that sensor circuitry. So that whatever data which has been edited, whatever information which has been edited by the user by spending hours long time, that will be now copied into battery backed RAM and that time has been saved. Whenever power resumes after some time, the contents of that battery backed RAM can be simply transferred back by using a memory block transfer into a working RAM, and then that operation can be continued. It means that the burden on the user or the programmer to re-edit that application is totally avoided by such type of by such type of handling catastrophic event through NMI pin. So this is a real application of NMI. Now once we understand that, now we'll see that min max bar signal deciding the mode of 8086 microprocessor is a composite signal min max bar. It is the input signal. Whenever this input signal min max bar is equal to 0, we know that max bar, maximum mode, is active low, minimum mode, min, mn, is active high. So whenever this composite signal is kept at logic 0 here, it means that the user is deciding the maximum mode operation for the processor. That is what written here. 8086 operates in maximum mode. Why? Because this signal, composite signal, is logic 0. And in case of maximum mode operation here, processor supports multi-processor environment. It means that along with 8086 CPU, there can be 8087 NDP connected for floating point operations, 8089 IOP connected for IO data transfer operations. So this type of multiple processors or auxiliary processors together, this environment is called as a multiprocessor environment, which is possible only in case of maximum mode, when min max bar is connected to logic 0. Next, when min max bar is equal to 1, then processor operates in minimum mode. Minimum mode, it means that we don't have any auxiliary processor inside my system. 8086 alone will be performing all the tasks at its corresponding speed, and such type of environment is called as a uniprocessor configuration, uniprocessor mode. So uniprocessor is inherently minimum mode. Now next is about dual functionality pins in 8086 processor. Now here, pin number 24 shown at the bottom to pin number 31 shown at the top. The second column decides this pin functionality in the minimum mode, like hold, hold acknowledge, write bar, MIO bar, DTR bar, DEN bar, ALE, INTA bar. It means that pin number 31 down to 24 will be functioning in the minimum mode like this. Same pins will be functioning in the maximum mode in a different manner, which is shown in the third column, maximum mode signals. This dual functionality has been defined in 8086 because at a time only one mode will be operational. So there is no need to define different pins here. Okay, but it is certainly not the multiplexing. Clearly based on the mode which has been selected here, that pin functions accordingly. So these are the dual functionality pins. We will see the details in the forthcoming lectures. Then next comes here concept of DMA data transfer, but not the DMA operation in this lecture for minimum mode operation. Now here DMA stands for direct memory access, is one of the method of data transfer, where the data is directly transferred between IO device and the memory device without involving CPU. That's why it is called as a direct memory access. IO device is supposed to access memory and get that particular data from memory or transfer data to memory. The entire block of data. And in this entire operation here, processor 8086 or whatever CPU present there, it is no more involved in the data transfer operation. This method is certainly a faster method compared to earlier methods like the programmed data transfer method or interrupt driven data transfer method. But the only constraint is that the device which wish to perform DMA data transfer with memory should be connected through a special IO module, and that IO module is called as a DMA controller. Let me tell you here. The DMA controller in case of Intel's processors is 8237, a DMA controller, and one more is 8257. So there are two DMA controllers specially designed for Intel's 8086 processor or Intel's 8085 processor or the other next generation processors. Okay, we'll see the details of DMA data transfer in minimum mode in the next lecture.